Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and welcome back to my channel, Stubbornly Bookish. Today I'm going to be bringing another unhaul to you. If I'm not mistaken, I have done an unhaul somewhat recently, at least within the past like 2-3 months. And I didn't plan on unhauling stuff, but things just kept piling up that I just ultimately decided I no longer want to read. And I've reiterated this a lot recently, but my TBR has become very, very overwhelming to me, and I've been trying to squish it down in as many ways as possible, which means obviously reading my own books, stop taking stuff out from the library so much, stop bringing in so many books, and apparently I'm going to unhaul about like 20 more books off my TBR, which I think is a little liberating. So you know what? I think I'm just honing in more and more on the things that I genuinely want to be reading. I'm going to part with these books. They're going to a good place. They're going to a women's organization that runs in my town. So I'm happy about it. Let's get into it. The first book in my stack here is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is a witchy, historical witch-ish book, or is it alternate history? I don't really know, but I was excited for the TV show. A lot of people really talked highly of it, and I didn't really know what it was, and I've recently seen reviews from people that I really trust, and they basically say that it's a lukewarm romance with a lot of like vampire yoga. Did I say this was a witch book before? I don't know, it just isn't very interesting to me anymore. And if anything, I'll just watch the TV show. I also grabbed The Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales. I've held on to this one for a long time because there was one review that stuck out to me about how great this book was, but I no longer really want to get to it. Nothing controversial about it. The next book I'm getting rid of is The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West. This, I believe, features a fake dating trope, but it's a young adult contemporary fluffy romance, and I don't really have much interest in reading those anymore unless it's queer. So I'm just going to part with it. I think somebody else could really enjoy it, and I have the ability to listen to it on audio. It's available on Hoopla if I ever was struck to read it, but I just don't need it taking up space. I'm getting rid of You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I truly don't understand whatever prevailed upon me to pick this up. I'm not going to read inspirational nonfiction. I'll also be getting rid of Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. I think this was popular a while ago on BookTube. This is the guy who wrote the Uglies series, which I read so far back. I think our main character is getting published, and we're also reading the book that she is publishing. And a lot of people said it's a really cool insight into the publishing world, which sounds great, but this is huge. Yeah, this is almost 600 pages. I don't need to be reading that. I have a lot of other tome and big books I'd rather get to before that, and this is like a heavy, hefty book that I just don't want in my life anymore, taking up too much space. Goodbye. Speaking of big books, I'm also going to be getting rid of A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. A lot of people really love this book. A lot of people say that it's incredibly emotional and painful, and then I've heard a vast majority of people also refer to this as tragedy porn. So you know what? I don't need that in my life. I've heard that there's some problematic and controversial elements in here, and I don't need like an 800-page book just making me upset. Okay, 700-page book. I'll also be getting rid of 2 books in the same series, the Study in Charlotte and The Last of August by Brittany Caballero. This series seemed interesting to me at the time, or our main characters are descendants of Holmes and Watson, and like they solve mysteries and stuff. Recently I've been looking at them and not really caring about them and kind of wanting to get rid of them, and then I saw Mari from My Name is Marinez rip it to shreds in her worst books of the year. I'll leave it linked down below, and it just sold me on getting rid of it. I don't need these books. I don't need to start a new series. Mediocre love interest apparently is in here. No thank you. Oh yeah, more literary historical fiction nonsense I don't want to read. The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I don't know why I picked this up. I know I picked it up used for sure. I guess I recognized the cover and thought it was a bit magical when I picked it up, but I read the synopsis recently and it's like about the gold rush. Kind of. It says it is 1866, blah blah blah, has come to make his fortune upon the New Zealand gold fields. That seems the opposite of interesting to me. This is another book that's nearly 800 pages, and if I'm going to spend that much time reading a book, It's going to be most likely fantasy. I'll also be getting rid of 2 books that I purchased like back in the day, I think 2016, which, if you didn't know, because I say this a lot, but 2016 was the first year I really got invested in watching BookTube and reading again. Anytime I recognized a book, I would be purchasing it in some form, especially if it was on sale. So I'm getting rid of Seraphina and Shadow Scale by Rachel Hartman. This is a young adult dragon duology, and while that sounds really cool, the reviews currently or recently haven't been very great. A lot of people loved them when they came out, but I haven't seen really positive things recently, and these are huge. They take up so much space. I don't really even know what they're about. And that's the thing. I don't think these books by any means are going to be bad. They're just not books I think I'll enjoy anymore. So why hold on to them, you know? I'll also be getting rid of some more young adult and contemporary I'm no longer interested. And that is 99 Days in Top 10 by Katie Catugno. I'm not sure if these are the ones that are related to one another. I think this one has a sequel. I won this from Goodreads years ago, never read it. And her covers are cute, books look cute, but I don't really think I'm into reading just simply cute books any longer, unless there is another element to them. Oh shit, I'm so sad to be getting rid of this book. I'm genuinely upset. But that's Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerall. This book is gorgeous. This book is stunning, and I don't want to get rid of it because it's truly one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen. I saw this at a used bookstore and snatched it up because I love this cover. I read reviews from someone who read the whole series and said the series was beyond mediocre. That's the last thing I need, is another mediocre fantasy series. Goodbye, beautiful book. I hope someone else enjoys you, but I'm not here for mediocre fantasy anymore. No, thank you. No, ma'am. I'm also going to be getting rid of The Tiger's Daughter by K. Archibald Rivera. This is an adult fantasy series with an FF romance with Asian-inspired fantasy elements, which all sound great, but this book is pretty controversial in terms of the author and not representing certain cultures well. And I just honestly don't want to get involved. I don't want to dip my toe into it. The more I've looked at it, the less I've wanted to read it. It's just no longer the book I want to read. I'll pass it along. Hopefully someone can enjoy it. Very quickly, I'll be getting rid of The Test by Sylvain Neuvel. Not because I don't want to read it. I just accidentally ordered 2 copies of it in my book outlet order because I'm an idiot. So I'll be passing this one along. I'm genuinely very excited to read this book. I'm also unhauling The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron. This is one of the few books that I've DNF'd in my life. I thought it had this really cool concept, but I didn't realize it was a dystopian. Not that dystopian is inherently bad, but in the 50 pages I read, it set up so many stereotypical dystopian beats that I have zero interest in reading it. I love the covers. All that looks great, but this is actually a trilogy, which I didn't even know, so goodbye, peace, c'est la vie. Another book I DNF'd, I actually just DNF'd it in January, and I'm going to pass it along to someone who I think will enjoy it more, is Tiny Pretty Things, and therefore Shiny Broken Pieces by Danielle Clayton and Sona Chirapotra. This is a young adult contemporary duology that follows elite ballerinas at this elite school, and apparently it's kind of like Pretty Little Liars meets Black Swan, which is a pretty cool pitch, but I listened to the first 50 pages and it just wasn't grabbing my interest, and I'm disappointed, but I didn't want to continue on because I didn't think this would get more than like a 2.5, 3-star rating. And it's becoming a TV show, which is really cool, and I think I'll actually check out the show. I like that kind of stuff more in TV, easily consumable, as opposed to as a book series. And the last book on here in my stack is a book that I think I'm the most conflicted on out of all of them, which is strange once you see it. But that's These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is a young adult sci-fi series. I believe it's a trilogy that follows these 2 characters that I think are kind of star-crossed lovers. I don't know, I've just been so attached to the idea of reading it, but then I read the synopsis and I'm kind of confused as to whether or not I want to continue or actually take the leap and read it. but it's a trilogy, which is really putting me off because I don't think this probably needs to be a trilogy's worth of events. So I think I'm just going to do it, get rid of it, get it out of my house so I don't feel bad about it anymore. So that's it for the 20 odd-ish books that I'll be getting rid of. I'm actually happy that I'm doing this. I know somebody else will enjoy these books more than I, and this is just another step for me to having a slightly more manageable TBR. It's still pretty fucking huge though, but anyway. I was going to say let me know of any of the books here that I should save and keep, but I don't need that. Please don't do that. The only book I think I could be convinced of saving is These Broken Stars. That's the only one. Let me know what your process is for unhauling books, because I find that fascinating because people are so good at it and I'm still getting there. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!